Hi there. Welcome to my morning walk, or whatever time of day it is you're watching this. Most people know that walking is really good for you. Just from an exercise standpoint or a movement standpoint, I think we all know it's good for your health. I'm going to share with you a few really sneaky secrets that walking has about why it's good for you that you may not be aware of, but are really, really important. So the first one is when you go for a walk, your eyes are scanning the horizon. You don't think about it, but that's what your eyes are doing. And when your eyes scan the horizon and don't see a bear, for example, I'm currently walking in the middle of the Canadian wilderness, so there actually are bears, but no bears today. I'm assuming where you're walking, this is not an issue for you. So what your brain is registering is that you're safe. And when your brain registers that you're safe, it puts you into your parasympathetic nerve system dominance. Your parasympathetic nerve system is the opposite of your fight and flight system, your elbows up, dukes out, we're gonna fight system, which honestly, I think is what most North Americans start their days in. Life is stressful. That's called the sympathetic nerve system. So you want to be in your parasympathetic nerve system. I also think that the deep breathing you end up doing if you're walking at a good pace also helps put you into that parasympathetic dominance. And if you pair that with walking in the morning, so time of day, one of the really cool things is that if you do it without sunglasses, the energy from the sun hits your eyeballs, and the cells in your eyeballs tell your brain that it's time to set your circadian rhythm. It's like a clock in your brain that tells you, okay, it's go time. We got to start our day. I got to be awake and alert and do all the things. And it helps all the cascade of neurotransmitters and hormones and different processes that your body needs in order to be alert and to do all the things for your day. That clock, it's like any clock. It has a specific time. So after about 12 hours, that clock winds down. If you wake up at 6 a.m. and you see the morning light, you get this strong circadian rhythm reboot that tells your brain, all right, start the 12-hour clock now, which means that at about 6 p.m., it's time to start winding down. 7 a.m., 7 p.m., it's not exactly, but think of it like that, which makes sense because at that time of the evening, you want to start winding down. When your eyes, so like I said, naked eyes, no sunglasses in the morning, see that bright sun, even if it's overcast, you get a much stronger reset than if you just look out the window or if you're driving out your car windshield. So that's another added bonus to walking in the morning. It helps you do all the things in your day in the right time frame. And it helps you wind down at the right time at night. Second thing is it helps to fight against insulin resistance. That's a big buzzword right now. Probably a lot of you have heard of it. Some of you know what it is. Insulin resistance, well, let's back up a little bit. When you eat food, your salivary amylase, your spit, starts to break it down. And it breaks it down into its various components, one of them being glucose, assuming you're eating some kind of a carbohydrate. Glucose is energy for your cells, and it can be a great source of energy. The problem is you need insulin. Well, this isn't a problem. You need insulin from your pancreas to be able to get the glucose into your cells in order for them to use it for energy. This is the way the body is designed. The problem is, for most North Americans, we eat foods that are way too much, require way too much insulin. The insulin burden, so think of it as if insulin is always running, it's always being called for to get that glucose out. For simplicity's sake and for lack of a better way of explaining it, so I don't have to get too scientific, it's too much for insulin. It's too tiring, and insulin gets burnt out. And then it kind of does a half-assed job of getting the glucose into the cells, which means you're going to end up with way too much glucose in your bloodstream. So glucose is a great thing in the right amount. But when it's too high, it's poison. So think of anybody who's diabetic. If their glucose runs too high, they end up with life-threatening symptoms and will eventually die if they don't get it under control through the use of insulin. So that is what insulin does. When insulin is working well, we call it being insulin sensitive. When it stops working well, you're now insulin resistant. It's just not working very well. Back to walking. So you have this other system in your body that most people don't even realize. When your muscles contract, so when you're doing a strength training workout or cardio, anything like that, and your muscles are working hard, your muscles can grab insulin from your blood without using any insulin. You have this totally outside of insulin system that will get glucose into the cells. So you can imagine that if you're doing a lot of walking or strength training or anything that causes your muscles to contract lots, you're grabbing lots of glucose without having to overburden insulin. It's really good for you, which is why so many people are talking about the benefits of walking, sprint training, strength training, all of the things that tap into that muscle insulin exclusion system to get glucose into your cells. So walking can be great for that. The third thing is ankle mobility. Nobody ever thinks about how much range of motion they have in their ankles. And yet, every time you walk, every time you take a step, you are relying on a certain amount of range of motion in your ankles in order to ambulate or walk, move forward properly. Most people, as they age, lose range of motion in all their joints. Some of it is kind of part of the aging process. You're not supposed to be 25 forever. However, it's much more about the fact that we just stop doing all the things that we did when we were kids that give us, great range of motion and make us like Gumby. We do a lot of sitting and we have very sedentary lifestyles. And one of the ways it plays out is you lose ankle mobility. So think about it this way. As I take a step forward, let's look down at my feet. Nope, hang on. I'm really hoping you can see my foot there. That's extension. That's flexion. You gotta have good ankle flexion and extension in order to walk properly, to go up and down stairs properly. So think about as a senior citizen, if you've lost a ton of ankle motion and you wanna take a step down the stairs, when you step down the stairs, your ankle, the foot that's on the upstair, that's on the stair, the upstair is flexing. You gotta have good ankle flexion in order for you not to sort of fall into the next step. This is why so many seniors fall down the stairs. It's not just lack of ankle flexion, but it's a big part of it. And so one of the things you can work on every day is ankle mobility, and walking is a great way to do it. When you have good ankle mobility, it's one of the things that will future-proof you from falls, among many other things. If your ankle range of motion is not what it should be, every step you take is going to put a different load on your ankle, your knee, your hip, and then of course your spine, your head, because everything is connected. Things don't work independently. So if your ankle mobility sucks, it's going to affect everything about how you walk and everything about how you carry yourself. So I prescribe walking to every single one of my patients, especially if they're in pain. It's a great way to help loosen things up. It's a great habit to be in. And honestly, unless you simply cannot walk, like you lack the ability to walk, or every step you take, you're in so much pain, you cannot walk yet. Every single person should be walking every single day. And there's no excuse for not doing it. Not busyness, not anything else, because the reality is your future self is coming for you, whether you're too busy for it right now or not. So it's such a simple thing that we can all do as a step toward our own health and longevity, to take some pressure off the healthcare system, to help reduce your chances of chronic disease. Every single person should be walking. And if you are in pain, if something is keeping you from walking, see your chiropractor. That's one thing. We're great at many awesome things. That's one thing we can do really well, is help to get you moving and get you out of pain so that you can walk more and longer and do it in a pain-free range. And if you have never seen a chiropractor, I would say go to our website, hit the book now button and get your spine checked, because it is a major factor in walking well and pain-free. I hope this helps. Have a great day.